Hello, my name is Ignum, and this is the story of my journey to campaign to become mayor. It all started on July 25th. The second weekly Kingdom Challenge had begun. What are Kingdom Challenges, you may be asking? Well, here on Topia, for this season, many of us live in kingdoms, and every week, a new challenge for each of the kingdoms to compete in is announced, with the top 3 kingdoms getting awards. This week's Kingdom Challenge was to choose a fellow kingdom member to run a mayoral campaign, with the best campaign being the winner. Now, I don't care for the rewards of the Kingdom Challenges, but I like participating, but the chance to run for mayor is what I wanted. I am fairly new to the server, with this being my first season, and I wanted to make a difference, so I decided I would run for mayor. And so, I began planning my campaign. The first phase had 2 objectives: creating and distributing a map art, and creating a large billboard, both to advertise my campaign. As I wrote up my plans on signs at my base, I left to go gather the necessary resources for Phase 1. But unknown to me at the time, founder and organizer of the UN Republic was also planning to run for mayor, and was checking out my kingdom, Deep Slate Kingdom, and saw my campaign plan that I stupidly left out. Seeing my plan, he knew that he needed to step up his own game, and instantly began working on his own map art. In a few hours after I finished mine, placed it around the server, Robotnik had placed his as well, with a manifest with his promises of what he would do as mayor. The following day, we both were at spawn working on billboards for our own campaigns. Robotnik was building a unique flying head billboard that was placed right in front of mine accidentally, but it kept breaking, so he had to scrap the whole thing, and a few days later built his own billboard and an improved map art. The race was getting heated. I began planning my phase 2 of my campaign, with the center point being the upcoming debate. Other candidates would also start announcing they were running, including the current mayor, Cliffjumper, a man who has been a long-standing mayor since the first election. He imposed taxes for a short amount of time that only the server owner, Craft, paid for. But after that, once the taxes were abolished, he did nothing. And the other candidate, Nos, a man who only ran as a joke in his whole campaign, was to not vote for him or Cliff. And so, the day of the debate arrived, with one more candidate announced they were running, White Bear. With all 5 candidates ready, the debate began. The debate was very heated, and all that heat was blasted upon Cliffjumper, with Nos' whole campaign being to vote for him or Cliff, and with me, Robotnik, and White Bear all having all similar ideas that clashed with Cliffjumper's hands-off, anti-change mentality. Cliff had to face all 4 of us against himself, but he held his ground, and I would respect him for that. But I found out a few days before the debate that he vandalized my billboard and one of my posters. After the debate, I hosted an after-party in Germany Kingdom, where Warrior Alex 1 asked us candidates, with the exception of Nos, who walked off after the debate, a series of questions about what we would do as mayor. After our discussion, the after-party ended, and we returned to our kingdoms. With Phase 1 and 2 now completed, I began Phase 3, creating campaign videos, starting with the unlisted videos that I shared with fellow Topians of an interview, then a scrapped speech for the debate that I didn't have a chance to speak during the debate, and then a speech to rally the kingdoms to vote for me I then made a book of promises that I would do as mayor, similar to Robotnik's manifest. It included things like a board of leaders that my fellow candidates could be a part of, that they could still do what they planned to do, even if they didn't become mayor. And a plan to refurbish the spawn and the nether spawn hub, with so much more in that book. With everything in place, all was left to do was to wait for voting day. But then, Nos said something that would completely change the trajectory of the race. He announced he was running for real, and began asking all of his friends to vote for him. Which is a big problem, because Nos has a lot of friends on Topia. This sudden change in tide completely changed the race. It seemed like I wasn't going to win. But maybe this is best. Maybe I'm not the mayor the server needs. No, I am. I can still win this. Voting day is just around the corner. I must do everything I can to get as many votes as possible. As voting day came, people cast their votes, and we all waited for the mayor to be announced. As the day crept closer and closer, I soon realized I had no chance of winning. Nos and Robotnik just knew more people, with Nos making friends with many of the old Topians and Robotnik friends with many of the new ones. But I barely was friends with any of them. In the end, the mayoral race was just a glorified popularity contest. And how could a nobody like me win this? And so, an hour before the mayor would be announced, I made a decision. I would put all of my votes into Nos's campaign, hopefully certifying the win for him. And so, the hour struck. The mayor would be announced. We all waited for all this time, and so we watched. The votes piled up. Then, a winner was declared. Robotnik. Even with me adding my votes to Nos's, it wasn't enough. Even though I lost, I made lots of friends along the way, and had lots of fun. But hey, if I ain't going to be mayor, at least we could be gods. Right, Nos?
Of course.